Hi, everyone. How are you today? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to You Still Matters, a show about seniors and those who love them. I am so excited about this episode on today. Of course, I have on my leopard, and I have it on for a reason because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, animals. I want to introduce you to Samantha Warner. Sam, how are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh my, it is just, I'm so delighted that you were able to join on today. I know that you are the actually the media coordinator, right, for Lifeline Animal Project. And if you would, how did you come to make Animal Lifeline your family?
So Lifeline Animal Project is in my family, actually.
Mhm.
My sister works at one of our shelters. My mom has been a volunteer for several years and is very active. So when I moved to the Atlanta area about a year ago, I, of course, was looking for a place to settle down. And I had just heard nothing but positive things from multiple people in my family. So when I saw that there was a media opening, I jumped on it, and it's been a match made in heaven ever since.
Wow, wonderful. And like I said, I absolutely love animals. And of course, people that know me, I am a cat parent. So I've had my cat Star for 10 years, and I am just always so amazed by him. But you know what? We know that oftentimes when it comes to seniors, people will say, well, if you want a companion, or perhaps if you've lost your spouse, you should go ahead and get a pet. But I know you want to talk a little bit about it's a little more than just, okay, you should get a pet, so go to the shelter or go just adopt a pet. But give us some tips about some things that must be considered really prior to adopting a pet.
Absolutely. So definitely adopting a pet is a great option, especially if you are on your own, if you want to kind of avoid feeling lonely or feeling isolated. We have a lot of great data that shows that pets help people feel more connected and feel more engaged. We know that pets have a lot of different health benefits for anyone, regardless of age. Um, One statistic that I find really interesting is that in 2024, Harvard Magazine wrote that owning a pet reduces a person's mortality by 24% just by having a pet in their life. And of course, we know that spending time with pets lowers our stress levels. It helps us to handle our stress better. And it helps us to make healthy choices like getting exercise or getting enough sleep. There's a lot of data that shows that people who have pets in their lives tend to make healthier choices for themselves as well. So for me, we are currently fostering an 8-month-old shelter dog from one of Lifeline's shelters, who you might hear in the background. And I'm getting lots of exercise right now, taking her out on walks and making sure that she gets that puppy energy out. We also know that pets can have specific benefits for seniors. So, according to the American Humane Society, there's a lot of research that shows that pet ownership can provide important social and emotional support for older adults, whether they are living alone or living with a partner. We also know that seniors who have a strong connection with an animal have lower rates of depression. They tend to have lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, better cognitive function, and even a reduced risk for heart disease. So there are lots of very promising reasons to seek out a pet or to have a pet in your life, whether you are older or younger or anywhere in between. But we want to make sure that we're choosing the right pet. We want to make sure that we are choosing a companion who's going to fit with our lifestyle and with our personality well, so we can get all of those benefits without the stress of having a pet in our household who is maybe not the right fit for us or not the right fit for our situation.
And that is really, really important. So before going out to just check out some pets and look and say, oh, wow, that one is really cute. I think I'll take him. So what other you know, tips can you give, especially seniors? Sometimes they, depending on where they're living, sometimes seniors will downsize and they may live in, areas that may or may not be pet friendly, if you will. So just kind of talk to us about what are some of the parameters realistically that we as seniors should really, really look at prior to just going to get a really cute dog because he's just so fluffy and beautiful and will be such a great companion and he's, he's a puppy and so on and so forth. So if you could break that down a little, that would be great.
Absolutely. So I think it's very important, no matter where you live or what your lifestyle is, to choose a pet who's going to be a good fit for you, like I mentioned earlier. You might be the most well-informed, responsible, experienced pet owner in the world, and this pet might be the most well-behaved, highly trained pet in the world, and you and that pet still might not be the right fit for each other. No dog is perfect for every person, and no person is perfect for every dog or cat or guinea pig or whatever the pet may be. So it's really important to think about what you need from a companion animal. Are you looking for a lot of physical affection? Are you looking for a jogging buddy who's going to help you get that exercise? It's also important to think about your ability to meet an animal's care needs. So, are you going to be able to take a dog for walks every day? Are you going to be able to clean a cat's litter box regularly? Do you have someone who can help you with those things if you need it? And those are also really important considerations to make. I always recommend choosing a pet whose personality and energy level are compatible with yours. So I think of activities in a 55 plus neighborhood or in a senior living, like an independent living facility. So if you're the person in the community who goes to every exercise class and goes jogging every morning and is swimming laps in the pool every day, you might do well with a pet that has a higher energy level and is more athletic. But if you are the person who is more into the book club and the art classes and the movie nights, you might do well with a pet that has a lower energy level. We can also think about social levels. So if you are a very extroverted person, you might do better with a pet who enjoys meeting new people and who likes to go to new places and who likes to have adventures. And if you are an introvert, you might do better with a pet who's more of a home buddy and who likes to hang out on the couch and just be in the space with you while you do your own thing. Besides personality, another really important consideration is your space. As you mentioned, I know a lot of our seniors have downsized or are in the process of downsizing, and that's something to consider when getting a pet. It's a very common misconception that a smaller space means you need a smaller animal, but I find that that isn't always true. To use dogs as an example, some small dogs can actually be really challenging in small spaces, while some big dogs do really well in a small space. It's all about their energy levels and how much stimulation that dog needs. So, a small but really high energy dog like a Yorkie or a Jack Russell Terrier might not be the best choice for an apartment or for a unit in an independent living neighborhood because they may get bored. And when they are bored, they're going to seek out stimulation, and that stimulation might be destructive. It might be chewing on the blinds or digging in the carpet. On the other hand, a very big but very lazy dog like a Mastiff or a St. Bernard would probably be fine in a small unit as long as they were getting those regular walks in. And I do want to note that while breed labels can be a helpful place to start when we're looking for a pet, it's important to see the animal as an individual, not just as their breed.
Mhm.
We know that visual breed identification isn't always accurate. Most of the time, it's really just a guess based on what that pet looks like. And without a DNA test, we can't know for sure what the breed is. This is why at Lifeline Animal Project, we don't use breed labels at any of our shelters because we would much rather focus on the traits we observe in a pet than make assumptions based on what we think they look like.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if you adopt from a shelter or a rescue, they know the dog's in their care and they can help you find that right match for you. So if you
Mhm.
come to our shelter and you say, I need a small dog with a medium energy level who's going to do well in a small independent living unit, we can use that information to find the right match for you. So I always tell people we love a wish list. We love when you come to the shelter with an idea of the personality and the type of pet that you're looking for.
Mhm. Very interesting. And I really liked when you said that it should be somewhat of a personality match, right? And especially with the younger animals, of course, cats and dogs, they are playful and they are so excited. And because I remember when I first got my cat, I could not believe, and he was just a puppy, probably a couple weeks old or so. And I couldn't believe that he had so much energy. And he got to the point where he was running and jumping and knocking over some of my things. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I know he broke one of my tables and just, I mean, just running. And I thought, oh my gosh, where is all this energy coming from? Which I didn't mind the energy, but kind of the destruction of some of the things. Because I'll be honest with you, I thought early on, I said, oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to keep him. He keeps breaking up my things and running through. And so I thought about maybe, adopting him out, right? And so, but I didn't. And I'm really glad I kept him because he did, kind of calm down. And so I like, what you said about the personality and the energy match. And one thing I did learn, or have learned, if you will, for sure, is that with cats, they will certainly teach you how to relax, right? Because just observing them, they are going to sleep and just sleep and cool out, if you will, right? And so, so yeah, so I like that. And I remember one time, Sam, I'll share this quick story with you. I remember I was working with kids and I was teaching them public speaking, and we were talking about basically how to debate. And so I remember this one little boy, he said, we were talking about cats versus dogs. That was the topic, right? And so one little boy was debating about how he thought dogs were better. And one little boy who was debating him was saying how he thought that cats were better, right? And so one of the things that one little boy said about the dogs, he said, "I like dogs because they'll do things with you and they'll play." And I don't think I would like a cat because cats are lazy. And that's exactly how he said it. Was so cute. They are lazy. And so after they finished, it was so cute, how the rest of the children in the class, they had to vote, for who they thought won the debate, right? And so I just kind of mentioned, I said, well, no, I said cats may appear to be lazy, but they need so many hours of sleep. And so, they rest a lot. And they were like, oh, because I just thought they were lazy because my mom has a cat. And when I call the cat, he doesn't come. But when I call my dog, he comes and plays. So, so it's a lot of information, misinformation, I guess, out there about especially cats with, what they do and why they do what they do, right?
Absolutely, and it definitely depends on the cat. We have a one-year-old cat who is very active. I lazy is the last word I would use to describe him. And, we have a 10-year-old dog who is very, very lazy. So I think it just depends on the animal. It depends on their temperament. It depends on their age. Younger animals do tend to have a little bit more energy. So one
Mhm,
option that is fantastic for seniors who are looking to adopt is to adopt a senior pet. So
mhm,
for our shelter, for Lifeline, these are dogs and cats that are at least 7 years old, which
mhm,
I like to point out for most dogs and cats is less than half of their lifetime. So you're still going to have hopefully a decade with that animal after you bring them home.
mhm,
And senior pets are great because they're usually already house trained and they tend to be a little bit less wild than some of our younger pets.
mhm,
You
mhm,
also know what you're signing up for in terms of that personality match, much more than if you were adopting a puppy or a kitten who was still
mhm,
growing and still developing and still coming into themselves. And just like human seniors, senior pets still have a lot of life left to live. They can be just as energetic and just as joyful as our younger pets. I mentioned I have a 10-year-old dog, and she still runs around in the backyard. She still goes on adventures with me. She's definitely still active and still loving her life. Another benefit to adopting a senior is that depending on the shelter, their adoptions may be free or have a reduced cost. So, for
mhm,
example, Lifeline Animal Project is based in Atlanta. We operate 3 shelters. We have a private shelter in Chamblee, and then we have contracts for Fulton County and DeKalb County Animal Services. And at all 3 of those shelters, all of our senior pets are totally free to adopt. So it can be a more economic option, especially when you think about all of the costs of taking in a new pet,
mhm.
all of the supplies that you have to buy. It's nice for that adoption fee to not be just one more thing you have to pay for.
That
So
is great news, right? That's really great news because I know sometimes people say, well, I would rather, have them young and then I can teach them. But so those are great, great benefits. Wow, Sam, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I am just, again, I am so delighted. Anytime, we talk about animals, I'm an animal lover. And I so appreciate you and what you guys do there too at Lifeline. All right. So I do want to ask you one quick question. And if you can answer it, maybe just a few words. Why are you so passionate about animals?
I'm passionate about animals because I have been around them my whole life and because I think they are really pure in their
Mhm.
companionship. They have so much love and so much intelligence, and there's something really magical about being able to connect across species.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that. And thanks everyone for tuning in today. And if you're new here, this is the first time that you ran across my channel, please feel free to subscribe and become a part of our You Still Matter family. And I'm going to ask you if you would make sure today, sometimes, that you would initiate an act of kindness. All right. Again, no matter who you are or what your age is, always remember that you still matter. All right, so I will see you soon. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.